What took me from making $200 a trade to making $2,000 a trade wasn't my strategy. It was something that most traders aren't even aware of. I'm going to lay out everything that I have learned in the journey from becoming a profitable trader, then scaling up my size. By the time you get to the end of this video, you will know what you need to focus on to succeed in trading and the steps that you need to take to reach your goals. Now, there is something in trading that is completely counterintuitive and causes failures and frustrations all the time in traders. In society, we learn if you work harder at something, you will become better and better. Working 12 hours a day and something like 7 days a week, you will become a master in no time. You will get ahead of others and become successful. But when it comes to trading, it doesn't exactly work like this. Initially, when you first start, studying for days on end and looking at charts will get you ahead in the learning curve faster. But it hits a point where slamming more hours into it just doesn't work. I used to solely focus on trading. It was the biggest focus in my life, and I wanted to become successful as fast as I could, so I traded every day for as many hours as I could and studied the rest of the other hours that I was free. Now, what this does is it puts so much pressure on your trading. I would go into every trading day with expectations that I was putting so much effort into it that I should start seeing results quickly. But after I got through the initial learning curve and I was focused on executing my strategy, it put pressure on every trade to succeed. Every trade had to win, and if it didn't, it was just another result showing that I was failing and not able to succeed. That all the hard work wasn't getting me anywhere. And even if I traded for just a few hours in the morning, if my trading went good, I would be happy for the rest of the day. And if it went bad and I lost money, I would be in a bad mood the rest of the day, because the way my focus was that all that mattered in the day was my trading. And so to fix this, instead of trading being the main key focus in my life, I changed it to just being one of them. What changed things for me was creating other things to focus on, taking the pressure off of trading. From talking to other aspiring traders, pressure is a massive influence on their results. One of the biggest pressures is money. Most people get into trading for the income that it can generate. But I've learned through teaching, the more desperate you are for money sooner, it adds more and more pressure to your trading. Trading is a long game, and your results can be measured only over a year span. A consistently profitable trader can have losing weeks or losing months, but over the year, they are successful. This is why if you have pressure to make money quickly from trading, or even have a timeline of when you want to make money trading, it'll put that much pressure on your results to be positive and will in turn force you to make impulsive trades in spots you shouldn't even be in. Think of it like this. Probably the most impactful trait you have in your trading is patience. If you were a millionaire and didn't need the money at all, and the sole goal of trading was to consistently get in a trade when you felt in tune with the market and the strategy set up perfectly, you could wait until that exact situation showed up, which could be days, weeks, or even months, depending on the person. Then on the flip side, if you need money tomorrow, you would likely be trying to get into a trade no matter how you felt or how the market looked right now. Instead of waiting for the market to fit your plan, you would be trying to react to what the market is doing and fit around it. Now, most of us are somewhere in the middle of this spectrum, but sit down and spend some time really thinking about where you are on this spectrum, because the farther in the direction of I don't need the money spectrum, the less pressure your trading will have on it. And the farther in the I need the money right now, the more pressure your trading is going to have. Now, I don't think anyone would trade if there wasn't money involved, so don't think that you can't get rid of that. Instead, the thing to focus on is how important it is for you, because if there is a lot of pressure on you, you need to find ways to try and alleviate some of that pressure. Either do something that helps create money sooner to fill that need right now, and have trading be something that can in the future become fruitful, or work on rewiring your brain that you are working on something that will become successful in the long run. It could take years down the road, but once you get there, the effort will be worth it. Take that time expectation off of your trading. Trading can size up insanely quickly. You could be making $200 a week from one trade But then a year later, you're making $2,000 a week on trade because you've now sized up 10x from that one trade. This is where I was a year and a half ago. I was making about $200 a trade, and I was focusing on the process and everything else about my trading. And then as I've got better over time, I realized, okay, now I can start to size up, and this can become something that is actually very, very powerful. Where trading becomes exponential is the amount of money you can make from each trade, not from the number of trades you take. Even if you took one trade in the whole year, but made $100,000 from that trade, that's all you would need. Here's an analogy that blew my mind when I first heard it in trading. In poker, the best two starting hands are 2 aces, 2 kings, or 2 queens. If you were able to bet all your money and have someone match your bet every time you had these hands, you would consistently make money and in the long run make millions. Now this doesn't work in poker because you're playing at a table with people. Most people will catch on to what you're doing because they're watching what you're doing. But in trading, no one is at the other side of the table keeping track of what you're doing. In trading, it doesn't cost as much money to watch the market compared to in poker. You have to pay the blinds or the antes to play. And in trading, you can sit and wait for your 2 aces every time and only put your money and risk when you get them. The only hardest part about this is the waiting game. In poker, you have about a 0.45% chance of being dealt 2 aces in your hand. So the odds are really tiny. So you have to see a lot of hands to even be dealt it, and that can take hours on end. But remember, every time this happens, you make money in the long run. And so the logical answer is to wait for that. But like with poker and trading, sitting there is really, really hard to do. And if you can learn to wait, it will pay off. One thing that's really helped me is I used to trade for hours and hours on end, and that patience would be really, really hard to do. And recently, what has really changed this for me is focusing on only trading for an hour to 2 hours a day, because that's when I can focus on being patient and then just move on with the day. Because just looking at the charts and doing just that is really boring, especially when there's nothing going on or you see the potential for a trade to go on. And so I can only be patient for a short amount of period of time. And so that's what I've done with my trading. I've allowed myself to only trade a short period of time, so then I can be patient, and then I just move on to the next day when I've taken trades or that time runs out. If you go into every trading day focusing on that, of practicing patience, it will drastically change your trading, because this is what the majority of people can't do, which is keeping them from being profitable. If you can master patience, you can make money trading. You want to go into every trading day focusing on your plan for the market. If the market doesn't fit that, you don't take a trade. A massive mindset mistake beginning traders have is a goal for a certain amount of money or trades in a given day. I struggled for the longest time with the idea of having a trading goal, with either the amount of trades I wanted to take or the amount of money I wanted to make. But these all put pressure on my trading. If you have a set number of trades you want to take in one day, but the market isn't a good trading condition for your strategy, you're going to be forcing bad trade setups that day. Or if you have a daily dollar amount you're looking to make, you're putting massive pressure on that day to have good results. Even if you have a week or monthly goal, you're putting massive pressure on your results. Honestly, having any result-oriented goals isn't good for trading. When I started to find some success at trading, I had a goal that when I hit a certain amount of size, I would increase my trading size. Sounds totally fine, right? But what happened, which I only found out by going through this process, is that as I got closer to that goal, I started to focus on my results. It got in my mind that I only needed a couple more wins to get to my goal, and I would get to size up, which is exciting in trading. Sizing up is a sign of success. But this goal had changed my focus from being focused on the process to the results again, and it started to damage my trading. I realized this and dropped the goal and instead put a timeline in place, because I felt confident in my trading that I had been getting good results, that in a couple of months at the end of the year, I would size up. The other big key involved with this was I mentally felt ready to size up as well. I wasn't nervous about the size of my trades anymore. The risk of the money didn't scare me anymore. It was more normalized. This is a big key to understand because when you increase your size, it adds more pressure on your trading, and pressure is what we are trying to focus on minimizing here. Now, on the flip side though, you don't want to have zero pressure on your trading. In college, I would play poker with my dorm mates, and when we first started out, we didn't put any money up. So if you lost all your chips, it didn't really matter. What this did is people didn't care about what they did. They would go all in, betting all their chips on really bad hands because it was funny. They weren't taking this seriously, and I wanted to take this seriously. And so I got tired of that, and I got us all to put up $20 at stake for the game. Immediately, the stakes were all high for us, and nobody was randomly going all in. We were all focused on doing the best we could to win. This is the same thing with trading. You need a certain amount of pressure to take it seriously. There needs to be a reason to take only trades you want to take, not just randomly betting for fun. When you first start trading, it's important to practice on a demo account because everything is so new and you're getting used to a strategy, and that takes time. It would be dumb to go right into trading real money because statistically, everyone loses money when they first start out. But once you get a solid grasp of things, you need to up the stakes because otherwise you will end up wasting your time being like my dorm mates, randomly all-inning on your demo account because you're bored. You will start actually building bad trading habits that will later down the road take months to rebuild. By now, I'm sure you can see that to succeed at trading, it isn't about solely learning a strategy. Learning to read charts and patterns is really fairly easy. Most of us can recognize patterns. Humans are good at that. The biggest thing with your strategy though is try to keep it simple so you can get it down and focus on what actually holds most traders back from being successful. I've taught a ton of traders my strategy, and what holds them back is always the mental side of their trading. You have to work on what most people aren't willing to do. Most traders are just looking for that easy, quick fix of a strategy or indicator that tells them what to do or that works all the time and tells them when to buy and sell. But these don't work, and that's why most people fail at trading. My goal is to break you free from that losing cycle into the profitable percentage of winning traders. Now, because in trading, everything is really emotional, think about a lot of reasons why you make emotional decisions in your trading. As humans, we are actually programmed to avoid pain and go to things that feel good. This is why fear and avoiding pain is generally the emotion that controls most traders. The fear of missing out is to avoid the pain of money you could have made. Taking profits too early is to avoid the pain of giving back money you made. Not closing out of a losing trade is to avoid the pain of being wrong. Or not entering into a trade is to avoid the pain of being wrong. These emotions seem really simple, but when you really reflect on them, they can be complex and interconnected. For an example, my biggest emotional barrier was I didn't even enter into a trade because I wanted to avoid the pain of being wrong. I would spot a trade and get nervous that I would be wrong and lose. So I'd then skip the trade and I'd watch as the market profited without me. I'd feel like a complete idiot because I had just chickened out on getting into the trade. I spotted it. I knew where to enter. I just couldn't pull the trigger. I'd continue to trade and the frustration of that loss would loom over me. I'd spot another potential opportunity, but it wasn't really good enough for a trade. But out of frustration, I would jump into the trade, not wanting to skip out on another win. Strategically, these trades are completely separate, but emotionally they were connected. If I was able to accept that I was nervous and just get into the first trade where I actually really liked the setup, I would have actually won and probably never got into the losing trade because I wouldn't have felt that emotional frustration. I was able to change this over time by realizing that it's okay to feel nervous to get into a trade. You can just accept that the nervousness is part of trading and it's okay to feel that emotion. The big key is to not let those emotions control your actions. That's the biggest thing that most traders struggle with, is their emotions are controlling their actions. You can't be an emotionless robot and just not feel any emotions. That's just not how we're wired. But what you can do is accept an emotion, feel it, accept it, and then just decide to do something else. Just because you're scared doesn't mean you have to run the other direction. For you to succeed at trading, once you have your strategy nailed down, you need to realize what emotions are coming up when you're trading, why they happen, and what you can do to either accept them or reframe things to take them away. This is something that can take an unknown amount of time depending on the emotion, because these can be so ingrained into your subconscious. They are habits and patterns that your brain has learned over time, and your goal now is to work to rewire them. Now, if you don't have a strategy that is simple and effective, learning all of this won't matter. I just made over $2,700 in my biggest trading day yet using one simple strategy I've simplified, and I only trade for a couple of hours a day, which takes that pressure off of my trading. This video right here will walk you through how I spotted, entered, and exited those trades.